Alright, well, looks like I'm apparently supposed to be ready now. So, what is up, everybody? I am SuperViperT302, and this is Pack and Roll Remix. For those who have never heard of this game, get ready to be kind of chilling out here with some comfy Pac-Man. So, we'll go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so if you've ever played the original Pack and Roll for the Nintendo DS, which was released in 2005, you might kind of know what we're in for with this game. So this is the kind of console update of the game, which was released for the Wii in 2007, and for it was re-released on it's part of the Namco Museum Remix compilation, and it's also part of the re-release Namco Museum Mega Mist, which is what I'm playing it on. As you can see, the primary mechanic for going fast in this game is this little dash called a boost, where by shaking the Wii remote you get this boost of speed that propels you in one direction, and also when you do it up slopes you can get these nice little boosts in height, which is going to be useful for some skips later on. So these first few levels are pretty basic, so I'll kind of explain the basics of this game. You're noticing these green barriers I have to get through. These are called Galvis gates, and in order to get through them, I need to collect a specific number of pack dots, which you can see in the lower right-hand corner. So for instance, for this one, I need 40, and there you go, that's 40. Also in the lower right-hand corner, you might notice I have 7 bars of health. This is one of the NG plus rules about the game. Because this game auto-saves, it's very annoying to have to wipe your memory every single time you want to do runs. So normally you would start with 3 bars of health, but there's various fruit items you can collect throughout the game that gives you extra bars of health. And it's allowed to already have all of those. And it's also allowed to already have beaten the game and have fast IL time, so the game doesn't have to auto-save after every stage. And again, so you don't have to wipe your memory between every single attempt. Alright, so yeah, that's just kind of some of the NG plus rules. Here we're going to see some more basics. There's our first slope route, so I use it to skip that ramp. And then right here, as I'm boosting into these boxes, you're noticing that I'm kind of stopping in Pac-Man in place. I'm using the Z button to do that. You can also use the B button to do it. And it basically just keeps Pac-Man from flying all over the place like the crazy yellow ball he is. And so though we want to go fast, we also don't want to send Pac-Man flying off the stage and into his death. Alright, so 1-4, we're introduced to the first power-up in the game, which is Night Pack. So Night Pack is a lot heavier than normal Pack, and therefore he doesn't get a whole lot of height out of like slope boosts and stuff, but he can break those metal boxes, which normal Pac-Man can't do, and is usually required in some instances. And he can also go underwater, which again is sometimes required. So right there I did a strat where I cleared out the pack dots on one side, and then on the trip back I was able to get the remaining pack dots, so I didn't have to go back and forth. Alright, so now we're on to 1-5. So 1-5 is where we're supposed to be introduced to Light Pack, which is like the broken power-up of the game. It makes Pac-Man a lot floatier, and I accidentally grabbed it. That's actually bad, but here's a kind of example of how broken Light Pack is. As you can see, he gets a lot of height out of slope boosts. The reason why you want to skip him in this level is because normal Pack does move a bit faster than Light Pack, and so it's actually faster to make a faster platform cycle here by just using normal Pack the entire time. Unfortunately, though, I'm not going to be able to make that cycle. It saves around 8 seconds if you can make it, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait a little bit here. I'm going to go for I went for platform skip, it didn't work. Not the most optimal 1-5, but we're alright. So now we're going to be abusing Light Pack in this stage to do a really big skip. This stage normally takes around a minute in order to like to go through it and then open the Galvis gate with 80 pack dots. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to grab Light Pack and I'm going to turn around and then use a slope boost to get to this ledge that you're not supposed to get to the end of the level. And after breaking that box, I'm going to use ledge grab hops. I'm going to ledge grab hop in the slit into the gold platform without opening the gate. And that saves around 35 seconds over the optimal non-gate skip route. And it's one of 3 levels where we actually skipping gates in this run. The goal of any percent is to just get to the end of each level as quickly as possible. So in 2-2, I'm going to be utilizing these bounce pads for the first time ever, which will allow me to get to higher ledges quicker. And then from there I can just use those boost pads to fully skip the section. And I'm going to be doing that again here. See, this is a level that we have looked for a gate skip in, but unfortunately it is impossible to get through this final bounce pad section without Light Pack. Believe me, I've tried. It is possible to come pretty close to making it to these last 2, but sadly it's not possible. But this level is an even bigger tease because the goal platform is literally right behind where you start, but it's impossible to slope boost to it from that first slope. So the skip would save about a minute if it was possible, but it's just not possible. So unfortunately, we do have to play through this level the intended way. And this is one of the harder levels to do optimally, mainly because there's just a lot of pack dots to collect in these areas. And the movement can be pretty difficult to optimize, like right here. Keeping Pac-Man in control while going along these slopes and collecting all these pack dots is easier said than done. But I actually meant to do like 5 reserve pack dots, which is really good. So right here it's just going to be some more boosting. The next section is going to have a bunch of moving elements that are kind of sort of on cycles, but... Ooh, I barely made that. For the most part, it doesn't matter. Also, yeah. Alright, I have the perfect amount of pack dots here. So next up is the bowl, which used to be one of the most inconsistent parts of the run because there didn't used to be a consistent visual indicator as to which way you had to go to get out, and usually you would go the wrong way and waste about 5 seconds. But actually, I just recently discovered a new visual indicator. That power pellet that you just saw me eat, if I go just a little bit to the right of that, then I'll always find my way out. And obviously that's a really big relief because it makes this section of the run a lot more consistent. There we go. So that's one of the longer levels in the game. Unfortunately, there's no big skips there. But here we have our first boss fight of the game. So Galvis boss fights in this game. Basically, in order to beat Galvis, you have to eat 3 power pellets to make him small. And then you can eat him, and you have to do this a total of 3 times. And the power pellets will always appear in the same spots on these fights. So I know where they're going to be ahead of time. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my way to them as quickly as possible. On these third power pellets, though, I do wait for Galvis to catch up in this fight, just so that I don't have to chase him down, because that can potentially waste time. For this third phase, I'm grabbing Night Pack, because there's a power pellet that's going to spawn underwater over here. I technically don't need Night Pack to get it, but I also use it to get this metal box out of the way, and it doesn't even matter in terms of time, because I have to wait for Galvis once I get here anyways. And plus, there's a normal pack card on the way there, so it ends up working out in the end. And with that, we're done with World 2. And we're going to be moving on to World 3, which is Sweet Land. This is where the run kind of starts to pick up in difficulty. Most of these stages are pretty difficult in runs. So for this first stage, there's a cycle after the first gate that's about 40 seconds into the level that I'm going to try to make. That requires some pretty good movement throughout this first section, so what I'm going to do to make it a little easier is I'm going to feed some pack dots to that gate so I don't have to wait on it later in the level. But what makes this route really bad is that I also have to collect every single pack dot in this route, or else I'm going to lose around 5 seconds. But missing the cycle loses around 10 seconds, so sometimes the sacrifice has to be made. Ooh. Ghost movement in this game is completely RNG, so sometimes I can just be in really bad spots. I had a couple of interesting patterns there. But it looks like I'm going to make the cycle. That was pretty clean. So I'm going to grab Light Pack because I'm going to be doing some cool stuff with Light Pack. So now that I got on the car, I actually don't need to ride the car for the rest of the level. So I'm going to do some ledge grab hops here to skip it. I'm going to skip a platform here as well. And then I'm going to make my way over here. And then use some slow boosting to get to these final 2 sets of platforms to collect the remaining pack dots I need. And I'll have exactly enough to open the gate. Alright, that was a little bit slow, but overall not too bad. Alright, and so in 3-2, we are actually going to be... There's actually several options you have for the beginning of 3-2. I'm going to be using one of the more consistent methods. It's possible to skip Night Pack throughout this entire first section, but doing so doesn't really save a whole lot of time. And it's really difficult to pull off consistently, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Night Pack on the way back, and I'm just going to use this to collect some underwater pack dots, because you do need to collect underwater pack dots to have enough to hit the 40 goal here. And coming up, I'm going to be ditching Night Pack for a normal Pac-Man card. You can technically inch past this normal Pac-Man card, and you can skip having to eat Blinky in the next section in order to get Night Pack again, but normal Pack just moves so much faster that it's worth it to go ahead and take the normal pack card and then just sacrifice the few seconds to eat Blinky. Because he'll always be in the same spots, unlike normal ghosts, because he's riding one of those tank things. Alright. And I need Night Pack to get to that metal box. Next is 3-3. So this level is one of the more cycle-based levels in the game, but fortunately most of the cycles aren't too hard to make. You just gotta have really good movement. That's probably one of the more tricky ones to make when you're starting out. But if you're able to get that, then the next 2 cycles aren't that hard. I can also afford to miss 1 pack dot in this section. So as you can see, like, that's the cycle I was aiming for, and I had a little bit of time. I had a little bit of leeway. So for this section, what I'm going to be utilizing is I'm basically just going to be trying to avoid waiting on these platforms for as much as possible. So I'm going to grab 3 pack dots from there and then boost back. And I'm going to try to get all the pack dots from this little platform right here and then make it back onto this ghost platform before I lose my ride. There we go. And so this final section of the level coming up, I don't have to move terribly fast. I can wait on these ghost platforms 1 time, but I do kind of have to rush a few of these. So like I'm gonna use this time to grab some pack dots here. I don't know if this is enough, actually. I might have grabbed 1 too little, but we're good. So you should get around the same time in this level every time because of that cycle right there. Okay, so 3-4 is going to be one of the few levels where I'm actually really stingy on pack dots. First of all, this first section's tight on them anyways, but the thing is, if I miss any pack dots throughout this first stage, I can lose time later in the level, but I'm not going to spoil how. So I'm just going to try to collect what I can. And try not to lose as much time as I should. I'm also going to ditch Night Pack after this first gate here, because again, normal pack just moves so much faster than Night Pack. And so the few seconds of detouring is worth it. So right here, I just kind of have to control Pac-Man. If I miss a pack dot at this point, it's usually not worth it to go back for it. Just because it's not worth it to just go back when you can just lose like the 1.5 seconds later in the level. And so here's the roller coaster. So this roller coaster is around a 30-second auto-scroller. It can be up to a minute, actually, because there's no way to skip it, except there kind of is. And I need to ride it in order to get the I need to get ride it to get the 80 pack dots I needed in order to open the gate. So far I haven't missed any pack dots. Hopefully that continues. This ride is notorious for being difficult to get all the pack dots on. So just gotta wait here for a little bit longer. And once I reach 80, I'm gonna do this. So yeah, by dying there, I'm able to basically skip back to that checkpoint, and I'll have all 80 pack dots, so I can just go straight to the gate. And the game is auto-saving here because my life count changed. That's what I was talking about earlier with how the game can auto-save sometimes. If your life count changes, the game auto-saves. And also, if you beat a score of any kind, the game will also auto-save, but I already have all of them basically maxed out, so it doesn't matter. So this is the World 3 goal of this boss fight. This boss fight is pretty difficult, especially the second phase right here. It's very easy to fall off during this phase. Also, if you die in a boss fight, you have to redo the entire fight. So that's obviously not desired. Actually, I grabbed Night Pack, but that's okay. I'm going to ditch it for normal pack anyways. On this third phase, I have to eat the ghost in a particular timing. So I'm going to wait for the ghost to appear to eat this first power pellet. Wait until Galvus is done with the stun animation to eat the second one. And that basically just stun locks him in such a way that I'm able to get him in a good enough position for me to eat him. Alright, so now we're on to World 4, Flaming Fortress. This is actually World 5 in the DS version, but they took out Ghost Land from the DS version and replaced it with a different world. And this first level is absolutely terrible. It's basically Pac-Man pinball on steroids. Pac-Man just gets knocked all over the place in this level. In addition, you need to collect every pack dot in every section of the level, which is obviously not fun. And also, there's a cycle at the very end of this stage that loses around 4 seconds if you miss it, and I think I'm already not going to make it. But it might be close, though, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I made that, but I'm not going to make this cycle, so I'm going to have to wait here. So that's around 4 seconds lost. We have theorized skips in this level, but none of them have led to any leads. Unfortunately, none of them have led to anything useful. And I need to hit that button to make all the walls lower. Accidentally ate 3 ghosts. Eating ghosts wastes lag frames, which is... It wastes frames, so obviously you want to avoid it in the speedrun because you want to go fast. 4-2 is a pretty straightforward level. There isn't a whole lot to talk about, just eating dots. I am going to be taking damage a lot throughout this level, like there. But there's also a lot of fruit items that will give you 1 wedge of health back. Right here I'm going to grab Light Pack and I'm going to use it to skip some of these bounce pads. The one disadvantage behind this, even though it saves a few seconds, is that I'm kind of put short on pack dots, but there are plenty of other pack dots in the level, so overall it's worth it. And right here in this section, because of these falling walls, I'm probably going to take damage at least twice. And I'm going to be utilizing the brake here, like, for there. You would think that wouldn't be useful in a speedrun where you obviously don't want to stop, but it actually keeps Pac-Man from falling off the edge in some instances, which is obviously really useful, because then I don't die. There we go. This might be an IL. Oh, it wasn't. It was barely not an IL, but it was a gold split. So for the start of 4-3, I want to give a shout out to the only other person who's ever run this game, Joester98. Can I get some pack attacks in the chat? He found that strat where you boost across those platforms, which saves absolutely no time because I'm bound by a platform cycle after this first gate. But it makes the cycle so much easier to make because it was possible without the boosts, but now it's literally free. Like, you have several seconds to waste and you can still make it. Alright, so now I'm going to be doing some momentum boosting here by boosting into these bounce pads. I'm able to get some nice momentum. And right here, you can technically go around these little spinning things on this platform, but it doesn't really save time. And also, that boost to that second bounce pad saves like 2 seconds. It's actually a lame optimization I looked over, so I always like to point it out. There we go. That's 4-3. Okay, so 4-4 is without a doubt one of the hardest levels in this game. Because it's basically just 1 minute and 15 seconds of... that's not good. That's fine. It's a very quick death. So... this level is basically just boosting from beginning to end. It's just a long, downward, spiraling path with no way to skip from higher sections to lower sections. And the reason why this level is so terrible is because a lot of these boosts, as you can see, I'm doing a lot of boosts near slopes and around turns. And these boosts are incredibly risky because if Pac-Man if you're holding just the slightest wrong angles, Pac-Man will go flying off the stage and he will die. And checkpoints in this level are very spread out. So a death can cost up to 40 seconds if you're not careful. And also there's boosts on these like really thin platforms here, which are surprisingly a lot safer than they look. And also I'm going to be boosting in the wind here, which you might think would mess with Pac-Man's momentum, but if you hold the right angles, it doesn't usually. And right here, you're supposed to ride these bounce pads all the way across, but I'm a little too good for that, so I'm just going to boost to the side. Like so. Just a couple more quick sections to go through. So right here, you can't actually skip any of these platforms. If you try to just hold forward the entire way, you will die. So hopefully I don't die right here. Alright, so other than that death, that was still really solid. It's very easy to die in a later portion of the stage and lose a ton of time. But we're not done yet because we've got another really difficult level coming up here. 4-5 introduces a glitch that Joester98 also found called bounce boosting, where if you boost at the exact same time you're grounded on a bounce pad or lava, then you'll actually enter a boost state. And this is going to be heavily abused throughout this level because there's going to be a lot of damage abusing utilizing the lava, and that's going to be useful a lot. So I have to keep track of my health here, obviously. And also in this next section, I'm going to be utilizing some bounce boosting to skip a lot of these bounce pads. It's nearly frame perfect as far as we know, and also relies on motion controls. So not fun. So here's our first lava boosts. Hopefully. There we go. 3 damage in that first section isn't great, but I can work with it. So here's the big lava boost skip. These towers take a really long time normally, but with lava boosting we can just skip them. Alright, I'm gonna actually grab this health and then I'm gonna boost over to this thing. So that's actually the fastest platform cycle. I'm gonna use another bounce boost here, grab this health, I'm gonna do one more set of lava boosts to skip these falling towers. I have to get that lava boost or else I'm dead. There we go. That was a really good 4-5, actually. So the World 4 boss, we used to think this first phase was RNG, because Galvus can actually rotate the platform 1 of 4 ways, and I've already screwed this fight up. But Galvus is giving me really good RNG, so it ended up not mattering. You can actually just slow boost to all 3 of those power pellets, and it can save a little bit of time as well as remove the stress of RNG. So for this, I got good RNG for this phase. Galvus can rotate the platform clockwise or counterclockwise, and it's better if he rotates it counterclockwise. It doesn't waste too much time if he rotates it clockwise. It only wastes about a second, but time save is time save. And for this third phase, I don't even have to worry about the platform. I can just grab these first two power clouds and then lava just do this third one. That was interesting. Alright, so we're done with World 4. Now it's time for World 5. So, you might have, if you've been paying attention, throughout the first 4 worlds, only one level had a major skip. In this world, which by the way is exclusive to the Wii version, every single level has a major skip of some variety, and it's just super awesome. And the skips save a lot of time too. So for instance, in this level, you'll notice the gold platform is right next to where you start, but it's actually not possible for me to reach it right now because there's a bunch of invisible walls blocking it, and invisible collision. But if I go through this first gate, which you can't skip, and then grab Light Pack here, there's actually one slope I can boost off of in that section that will allow me to bypass all the invisible collision and skip the second and third gates of the level. Like this. Hopefully this will work. Oh, I was a bit too far outwards, so I'm going to try that again. This still saves like 45 seconds over doing the level the intended way. So that's a pretty big skip, but we've got even more skips coming up here. In 5-2 and 5-3, I'm going to be able to fall around a bunch of kill planes to basically just skip from the highest part of the level to the lowest part. So as you can see, I'm already at the bottom of the level in 9 seconds. I'm going to do another gate skip here. This ledge here is kind of glitchy. So I'm going to bounce on it and bounce straight into the gold platform, which skips opening the gate in that level. And then this level is the biggest meme ever. This is just fall from the beginning to the end. And you're done with the level in under 6 seconds. 5-4 is actually a somewhat long level, but there is a major skip at the end of this level too. And this level is one of my favorites in this game just because of the amount of movement you have to do. And there's a lot of cycle-based elements in this stage. There's a lot of cycle skips and whatnot. Like, coming up here, I'm going to do a cycle skip around one of those gear things. That saves a few seconds. I'm also going to be utilizing a technique in this level known as crisscrossing. You see those blue and pink alternating platforms? I'm going to be kind of going across the corners of those to skip a few cycles and save a few seconds. Right around here. So the big skip in this level is basically once I reach light pack cards and a bounce pad, I'm just going to use the bounce pad to skip straight to the last gear of the level, which will save around 25 to 30 seconds. And I have a timer key as to when to go. So like right here, I'm going to wait for... It's fine. There we go. Kind of tight jump, but nothing too bad. You do have to land on a... That skip is kind of difficult though because you have to land on a peg of that gear, or a tooth of the gear rather. That doesn't have a boost pad on it, so that Pac-Man doesn't immediately fall to his death. But there is an alternate skip that's 5 seconds slower and is literally free. Alright. So here is the World 5 boss. This boss is in 2 phases, and just like every other boss, for this first phase, the power pellets always appear in the same spot. So I know where they're all going to be ahead of time, so it's just a matter of getting to them quickly. And hopefully not dying. I have lost runs to these boss fights before. And there we go. So now we've got this kind of irritating, unskippable cutscene. As Balbus retreats into that little doorway, we're going to be able to follow him in there and take down the final boss, which, by the way, has really killer music, so pay close attention. So this is a bit more cycle-based than most other bosses. And mainly with these ghosts that move around and the gears and whatnot, I have to make sure I stay on the right cycles the entire time. So I have to make sure I follow this route exactly as I have it. It looks like I'm going to be pretty alright though. So timing is coming up, by the way. Time is coming up. It's going to be when I eat Balbus for the final time. So get ready for that on my mark. My Balbus is going to give me win. Savage. And time. My timer says 23:53. That is actually an insanely good time for resetless. The world record is 23:22 for comparison, so a time 31 seconds off world record in that run like that is pretty good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that run. Thank you for watching, and I don't really have much else to say after that. If you're interested in running this game at all, I would highly recommend joining the Pac-Man Discord, because we've got a Discord server for basically all of the Pac-Man games. I would highly recommend joining that. And so, yeah, until next time, Pack Attack.